I the asshole for not helping my ex with his rent after we broke up and I moved out? I'm a 30-year-old woman, and my ex is a 26-year-old man. We were together for 4.5 years, and we had been really unhappy for a while. As much as I love him, beyond the specific issue I'll be discussing, we were just really incompatible. It's all too much to fit into one post, so if you have questions, feel free to ask. I had been struggling with serious untreated mental health issues that were too much for anyone to handle. I was having severe panic attacks every day. I was so depressed I was barely functioning. One therapist even said I was dissociating, but I couldn't afford to keep seeing her to fully understand it. Our bedroom was dead. I was isolated, over 2,000 miles away from my family and support network. And too much of the support I needed fell on him. He resented it, especially because he was younger than me. He expected me to have a better handle on it because I was older. Maybe he's right, but the reality is that I didn't. He started keeping score, comparing what he did for me to what I did for him. He became increasingly angry and volatile. Holes were getting punched in the walls. He was losing his temper and spouting verbal venom. The more angry and volatile he got, the worse my mental health became. Our dynamics spiraled downward. I tried so hard to get a handle on everything, so I could be a better partner to him, but I kept coming up short. I never wanted to be a bad partner. I just couldn't get my stuff together, despite trying desperately. I felt so ashamed, and it all just kept piling on. Of course, it came to a head, and he broke up with me. We argued all the time, and he was extremely vocal about how unhappy he was, and how he was losing hope. At first he said we were breaking up while we still loved each other, because he didn't want to get to a point where we hated each other. I was heartbroken, but I really wanted to be understanding. I know I was a lot to deal with. I didn't hate him at all, I wasn't even close, but the idea of making him hate me was gut-wrenching. Of course I didn't want that. We were still living together though, and the change in dynamics was a really hard adjustment for me. I guess he processed it all already before he had the breakup conversation, and I only began processing it after the conversation. So while I was grieving the relationship and sobbing all the time, and being a heartbroken mess, he got increasingly more agitated for how me acting like that was making him feel bad for it, because he wasn't even able to enjoy it. It's not like I was trying to make him feel bad. I was just, I don't know, the dynamics soured fast. My mental health took a really scary nosedive. He took over the lease, and I turned in my keys before the end of February, so legally I'm completely in the clear. I drove back home to be with my family so I could get the support I needed with my mental health. Originally, I had planned to stay until mid-March, and had agreed to help him with some of March's rent. I made it clear from the jump that me being willing to help with that was coming from the love I still had for him, and how much I appreciated everything he did for me when I was struggling. I felt like I owed that to him. He also made it clear he felt like I owed that to him. But then things changed. The way he acted towards me, and some of the things he started saying to me, all I know is that love, even strictly platonic love, doesn't look or sound like that. Sending him money for his rent in March would be me sending him the last of literally all the money I have left in my name, until I find a new job back home with my family. The worst part is that I would have done it. I was fully planning on it actually, until my dad and brother sat me down and basically told me they'd kick both his and my ass if I sent him any money at all. They said he's a narcissist who's been gaslighting me, and is just taking advantage of how I still love him to get what he wants out of me. If they had it their way, I had blocked him and never spoken to him again, and just started moving on with my life. I couldn't live with myself if I did that though. So instead of sending him money for his rent, I covered our last electric bill that was in my name, because it was from when I was still living there. I told him I'd wait to end service until he let me know he got it switched over to his name, so there isn't a risk of him not having power there for a day or something. I figure I'd give him until the end of the week for that, and if I don't hear back from him, just end the service on Friday. He was angry and rude, and as heartless as ever, and it was probably one of the hardest conversations I've had in my life. Of course he was angry though. I'm not expecting to ever hear from him again sadly. He threw in my face how many times he covered rent when I was struggling in our relationship, and how I'm going back on my promises, and how the fact that he doesn't love me anymore should have nothing to do with it. But for me, it has everything to do with it. It was the whole reason I even agreed to it in the first place. It seems genuinely insane that he'd actually think he could change his behavior towards me so much, and be so heartless and vocal about how he doesn't owe me anything anymore, and actually expect me to still happily give up the last of the money I have to my name, over to him. So AITAH for not sending him money for March's rent? I know I'm the bad guy in his narrative, no matter what at this point. But I don't want to be a bad guy. I really feel like I tried my best to do the best I could. I can't change anything, but I just want to learn from this. Any helpful or constructive insight would be appreciated.